I want to welcome in Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su. Secretary Su, thanks so much for joining me.
So good to see you again.
Great to see you as well. A blowout jobs report, much higher than expected, breaking a 3-month trend of job growth below 200,000. What do you owe to this? Is this an anomaly, or how does this inform your outlook for the job market?
I think two things. One is that this is further sign that our economic policies are working, that we have a strong, robust economy where people want to work and they're finding work. The second is that the overall trend is definitely for, towards stability. The average job growth over these 3 months is about 266,000. It's less than it was a year ago for that same 3-month average. And that is what we want to see when we want stable, steady growth in a stable, steady economy.
Today is National Manufacturing Day. We saw 17,000 jobs created in the manufacturing sector, continuing that upward trend. And I understand the Department of Labor is announcing an advanced manufacturing registered apprenticeship series.
That's right.
Tell us about that and what that could mean for manufacturing jobs in this country.
So President Biden has talked about a manufacturing boom, right? Wanting to make sure that we make things in America, and that is part of an industrial strategy that helps to lift up the American economy and America's workers. Today's National Manufacturing Day, we are also announcing an apprenticeship program that will help to make sure that working people, including those who have not seen themselves in these jobs before, get the pathway to those jobs. Since the president came to office, 815,000 manufacturing jobs created, and we're just getting started. We're just seeing the effects of all these historic investments, and so looking to really help to power the future of manufacturing through American-made goods by American-made workers, especially in good union jobs.
Speaking of manufacturing and unions, the UAW strike now in its 3rd week. Ford, GM looking to lay off workers temporarily. It seems that both sides come closer, and then the UAW says that they need more. What are you telling both parties now?
Well, I think it always looks like the parties are really far apart until they're not. In any negotiation, that's the case. And what gets said publicly can also be quite different from what is actually happening at the bargaining table. I think the parties are working through some really complicated, difficult issues in a moment in which we are seeing unions able to demand more at the bargaining table for their workers generally, right? We're seeing also broad support for unions, more than we've seen in 50 years. And so I think that is, that's part of this process. And we're seeing that the parties remain at the table, that are talking to each other, and I think that they will get there.
How much longer do you think this could play out?
I mean, that's hard to say, but I do think that, the president made a historic visit to Michigan to join a picket line. And I think that was an important statement that we really believe that when there are record corporate profits, there need to be record contracts for working people too.
Switching gears, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted from his speakership this week, and analysts are saying that raises the prospect of a government shutdown come mid-November. What would that mean for the Labor Department in terms of all-important data releases like today's jobs report or CPI?
Yeah, I mean, a government shutdown is devastating for so many reasons. To your question, right, coming to talk about Jobs Day, it's important not just for people sitting in the living rooms understanding what's happening in the economy. Jobs Day also helps to inform a whole bunch of other decisions that get made, including, what the Fed is going to do, including the fight against inflation. So if there's a shutdown, and if the Republicans in Congress cannot work cooperatively to make sure that we keep the government running, then we don't get these kinds of jobs report in a month of a shutdown, and that is really, really harmful broadly, but it's also really harmful to people who depend on government to function.
Switching gears, we've just gone over the child care cliff. Nearly $38 billion in funding for child care that was put in place during the pandemic has expired. How do you see this impacting the labor force in the coming months?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why the economy, why we were able to recover from the global economic devastation that created by COVID was investments through the American Rescue Plan, including investments in child care. we have seen, and we've talked about this here together, right, that those kinds of investments have helped women to power our economic recovery. Women were most devastated when COVID hit, but also recovered faster. And our labor force participation rate remains at record levels over the last few decades. So the drop in support for childcare, it can be very devastating for women, not just childcare workers, but for women mostly women, right, who depend on childcare in order to be in the workforce.
If Congress can't get a supplemental pass to renew this funding, what's the prospect if they were to pass something like a child care tax credit, expanding that, tax credits in general for child care? How could that impact women's ability to participate in the workforce as well as their wages?
Right. President Biden has said from the very beginning that we need a child care infrastructure that meets the demands of working families. And again, working women bear the disproportionate brunt of child care responsibilities still. And so anything that Congress can do to extend and expand and really stabilize support for child care is something that I think would be really good for the economy and a really good investment in equity.
Secretary Sue, thanks so much as always for your insights. So appreciate it.
Thank you. So great talking to you always.
Sean, I'll send it back to you.